Greetings, it's Harriet here. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. Welcome back to MyfanwyNia studio here in Leitrim's Iron Mountains. Today I am sharing another short watercolor time-lapse in my sketchbook. This painting, again, is one of the prompts from Kitty Floss's February Instagram art challenge, which is called Hearts and Flowers. I will leave a link below the video to her inspirational prompt list. Today's prompt was day 18, Kewpie Doll. The iconic Kewpie Doll was created in 1908 by artist Rose Cecil O'Neill, who lived from 1874 to 1944. Rose was an American cartoonist, illustrator, fine artist, and writer. She built a successful career as a magazine and book illustrator from a very young age, and she became the best-known, highest-paid female commercial illustrator in the United States. The internationally famed Kewpie remained one of the most widely known cartoon characters of its day until Mickey Mouse. Rose O'Neill was raised in rural Nebraska, and to help foster her daughter's talents, Rose's father, a book salesman, brought her daughter to the city of Promise, New York, in 1893. To help begin her career, she was left to board in a convent in New York City. The nuns accompanied her to various publishers to sell work from her portfolio of 60 drawings. She was easily able to sell the drawings to numerous publishing houses and began taking further commissions. Her illustrations were first featured in 1896 in an issue of True magazine, making her the first published American woman cartoonist. In the early 1900s, amidst the growing suffragette movement, it was in 1908 that Rose began concentrating on producing her own original ideas. It was during this period that she created the whimsical Kewpie characters for which she became best known. The name Kewpie derives from Cupid, the Roman god of love. She became obsessed with the idea of the cherubic characters, and she said, "I thought about the Kewpies so much that I had a dream about them, where they were doing acrobatic pranks on the coverlet of my bed. One sat in my hand, a sort of little round fairy, whose idea it was to teach people to be merry and kind, all at the same time." End quote. The following year, in 1909, Kewpie characters made their debut in comic strip form within an issue of Ladies' Home Journal. Kewpie comics soon appeared regularly in women's magazines such as Woman's Home Companion and Good Housekeeping. As the cartoon grew rapidly in popularity, Rose began to illustrate and sell paper doll versions of the Kewpies. Then in 1912, the characters were first produced as a bisque doll by J.D. Keshner, a German porcelain company in Walterskirchen, Germany. Rose traveled to the factory to oversee the production of the figurines. The Kewpie dolls were initially made out of bisque. Composite versions were introduced in the 1920s. Composite materials composed of sawdust, glue, and other materials such as cornstarch and resin. Composite dolls were marketed as unbreakable compared to the more fragile dolls of the past. These composite dolls were the first mass-marketed toys in the United States. Celluloid versions of the dolls were manufactured in the following decades. Then in 1949, 𝕄𝕝𝕝 created the first hard plastic versions of the doll, and soft rubber and vinyl versions were later produced by Cameo Co. and Jesco from the 1960s and into the 90s. The early bisque and composite versions of the Kewpie dolls are highly sought after by antique and doll collectors, who especially want those early examples hand-signed by Rose herself. With Rose's rise to fame, she garnered a public reputation as a bohemian and passionate women's rights advocate, using her influence to support the cause. The success of the Kewpies amassed her a huge fortune in her day of $1.4 million, and at the height of Kewpie's success, O'Neill was the highest paid female illustrator in the world. For my piece, I have referenced one of Rose O'Neill's early Kewpie illustrations, working again in my 300 GSM watercolor sketchbook. I added the ruffled heart design. I wanted the Kewpie to look as if it was clinging off the edge of a heart pillow. I drew this with pink Faber-Castell aquarelle watercolor pencil, and then I just added water, softening the sketch and adding thin layers of color. I then defined areas of loose tone and added detailed line work and shadows back in. I will again add all of my tools and materials below the video. Before this recent stint of watercolors, it had been a while since I used them, and I'm enjoying finding my way with them. I am learning a lot each time I approach one of these small pieces, discovering that the looseness that so encapsulates watercolor as a style of painting is much more a product of careful observation and deliberate application of brushstrokes, attention to how close the tonal values are, where the edges are defined and where they are not. I have found that it is the amount of water on the page that moves the pigment around on the surface much more freely and more effortlessly than my brush can. Starting to understand this fluidity comes with practice, learning when to lift away any excess water. I do, however, love the combination of the loose watery marks and the tidy, more intentional line work. As with all art, there are no set rules about the way we should use any particular medium. I have seen all kinds of surface qualities achieved with soluble mediums such as watercolor and gouache. This takes practice and developing your eye and patience with the medium, which so far I have found both fun and challenging. This was a quick little painting, which took me just over an hour to finish. And we are coming to the end of my time-lapse now. I do hope you enjoyed it. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Do have an inspiring week. And I'll see you all again soon for another video. Bye-bye.